Hi, I thought it might be helpful or interesting for me to talk a little bit about meditation and mindfulness, especially for those of you who have been joining me in the online yoga sessions that I've been offering and perhaps haven't done meditation before, haven't done much before, or find that you're interested in it and want to know more about it. And obviously, there's whole books and courses all about mindfulness and meditation. So these little chats are going to be fairly brief and we'll cover some topics, but not obviously in a huge amount of detail. But I thought I'd start with my own personal meditation journey and my kind of understanding of what meditation and mindfulness are. And so, where did I first come across meditation? I'm not 100% sure, but I suspect it's probably in a yoga class. So, I went to my first yoga class when I was at sixth form college, so I was about 17. So, I've been doing it for quite a while. And meditation is actually central to yoga. And in many yoga classes, you will possibly do some meditation or mindfulness at the end. I also then studied meditation in a bit more detail on my yoga teacher training course, where we not only were reading some of the texts about it, but also had to have our own meditation practice, a daily practice, and keep a meditation journal and write essays on it as well. So that was a really good grounding in meditation. So, as I said, yeah, meditation is central to yoga, and much of the original yoga texts, the asana, the postures, a lot of them were more seated based, and they were essentially designed to prepare the body for long periods of sitting. So we weren't really so many of the sort of fancy standing dynamic flows and that sort of thing originally. They were more seated practices that would enable you to feel comfortable to sit for long periods of time. And meditation is part of one of the 8 limbs of yoga as well. So I sometimes struggled with meditation. I felt that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I was doing it right, that other people were probably doing it better than me. And because I was having thoughts whizzing around all the time, therefore I wasn't meditating and I wasn't able to meditate. And I would get really frustrated. And I remember being on some yoga retreats where I'd get really, really tight, stiff shoulder and neck all up one side. It was fine for the rest of the day, but when we came to meditation in the morning and in the evening, this pain and sort of stiffness would develop all up one side, and then it would go again after the meditation had finished. And looking back, it was probably a result of me feeling tense and tight, building up to this thing that I felt I wasn't able to do, and I was getting kind of tense and stressed about it, and it comes out as a physical pain. And I tried asking people, why do I get this? And I didn't really kind of get helpful answers. And I'm not sure when it happened, but it was on a retreat at Tara Loka, the Women's Buddhist Retreat Centre in Shropshire, where I felt I had an aha moment and suddenly kind of understood what meditation was. I can't remember now what actually happened at that time, or why, or who it was, who maybe if they said something different and it made me understand it more. But I remember coming back from one of my yoga meditation retreat there thinking, yay, I can meditate now, which is looking back a bit silly, because everybody can meditate, because essentially meditation it's not having no thoughts whizzing around at all. It's the act of sitting, or you can do walking meditations. It's the act of sitting, observing the thoughts, and watching and waiting for when there's a gap or a pause between the thoughts. So there's thoughts whizzing around all the time. And when we meditate, they're still there, but they start to settle a bit. And it's watching that there may be a gap between some of those thoughts, or that you may become aware that you're having lots of other thoughts, maybe planning the dinner or planning what you're going to do tomorrow or rehashing an argument or thinking about something that you should have done. We can dwell on the future and the past, but sometimes if we're meditating, you suddenly realize, whoops, I'm still wrapped up in doing that report for work or planning what I need to do tomorrow. And it's that moment of becoming aware that you're having thoughts that are not really focused on the meditation. That's the moment of kind of awareness, of mindfulness, and of meditation. So we can sit for however long. The thoughts will still be whirring around, but sometimes we can see a gap in them. And that gap might only be for a second or for the length of a breath or two. But sometimes that gap will be quite, you'll be aware of it. Sometimes you might do a meditation practice and you find that your mind's really distracted and you don't have many gaps at all. And that's fine, because sometimes I find that it seems like it's quite comfortable and natural, and other times my mind is just whizzing around. I'm meditating the same in both of them, and it's not that I didn't meditate in the one where I had more thoughts. That's how it is on that particular day. So I think the trick to getting established with meditation is finding what works for you, what focus, whether it's the breath or a particular mantra or phrase, and finding a time that works for you. So I find that if I don't do something first, I don't do it for the rest of the day, because I'm a bit of a procrastinator. So I am now meditating in the morning. And I also think it's helpful to set a realistic time goal. So you don't have to sit for an hour or even half an hour or 20 minutes. You only need to sit for 2 minutes. Or you can start with 1 minute and build up to 2 minutes or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever feels comfortable. And I used to sign up for these online challenges where they'll send you a video or an audio file every day for like 3 weeks or whatever, and you do it. And they were quite good for getting me doing it for like a 3-week period, but then I often wouldn't carry on, even though I felt I ought to carry on. So I find that for me, when I signed up to a year-long meditation program, I've got this goal to meditate every day for a year. It started last July, and so we're on the 1st of May now, and I've missed 2 days in that time. And there's a little tracker you can fill in the time that you've done, and so it's recording how much time you've recorded and what days you've done it on. And I think that's been really helpful for me. So you might find that there's some apps that are really good for you, or making a journal and noting down what you've done. It can be really helpful. And also finding the right time of day of when it's useful for you to do it. So it might be first thing in the morning, or it might be later in the day. And not setting yourself a goal of having to do 10 or 20 minutes. So I started with 3, and then I went up to 5, and now I'm uncomfortable 10. And I think an expectation of doing 20 minutes every day, that's great if you've got the time, but don't put that pressure on yourself. So I hope that's helpful, just my thoughts about my own meditation journey. And I might do some other short pieces on other aspects of meditation and mindfulness in the future. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.